Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, the People's Channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. My name is DEEZY. You can also catch me at NFT Alpha Show. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is May 10th, and we're going to be talking about your favorite topics. And today, you notice we have a green background. We're also going to be talking to the greatest panel of all time who's ready to lift your spirits. So we're going to go ahead and start. On the top right, we have MacNCheeasy. Hey, look, if you're worried about the pegs, go to him where they lay some eggs. And I'm talking about the incubator. Go check out the incubator. Then on the bottom right, look, he's on with the neon, and he's going to cool those markets down with some freon. And he always likes to look out for the peon. I mean the little guy. I'm talking about RiceTVx. Then on the bottom left, he's whiling, he's smiling. Right now, he's on a different Puerto Rican island, Joe Parys. We're used to that nice background in the background. I'm going to have to get used to this. But then on the top left is Ben. He's coming in for the win. But don't get mad if he says the bull market's at an end. He's just trying to look out for your pocket, my friend.
So can I, is this right? Like if we need someone that knows about, like you said, pegging, that's MacNCheeasy?
No, pegging the UST.
I'm your guy.
Terra Luna, the peg.
Oh, different thing.
He did not
Different
hesitate. I would just say.
Man, this channel talks about pegging and bears and all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh wow, whoa! I didn't even make that connection. I didn't make that connection. All right, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the billions of dollars that have been flushed out of the market. We're gonna talk about KuCoin. Used to be J-Chain's favorite exchange. Now I still like it though, and Instagram and NFTs. The Zuckerberg is coming into the space. Look out, everybody. But before we do that, it's time for us to look at the markets. What is going on with the crypto markets? Kind of want to refresh. Let's get that freshest data here. And because Bitcoin was at 0%, I know that can't be right. Down slightly. We're down 0.5%. However, Ethereum up 1.5%. But when you look at that 7-day chart there, down almost 20%, down above 15% for Ethereum, not looking the best. If we look at the that running battle for number 6, XRP 51, Solana 66, Cardano 63 cents, and whoa. Yeah, it is falling. Everything is way down. Normally, sorry, Terra. Terra used to be following those other coins, also fighting for that number 6 spot. Now looking like a little bit of a different story. Now, Joe, we have billions washing out of the markets right now. Bitcoin still slightly down, even after what many considered to be oversold territory. But we're above 30,000. How is it looking for you? Are you feeling real bearish? Are you feeling real, a lot of extreme fear right now? What's Joe's thoughts on the market?
Well, thanks, DEEZY and Ben, for having me back on the show. Really appreciate being here. And yeah, we're in a little bit of a different location, but we should be back in our regular spot very soon. But, this does not come to a surprise to me, to be completely transparent and honest. For months, I know Ben and the entire BitSquad has been kind of warning people like, hey, this could happen. And also, too, how I'm personally feeling about this is last week when I was on the show, I was feeling bearish. I was, honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of news. There was not a whole lot of things that were looking really good in the charts. There were just a lot of things that, we just did not, this is not surprising to me by one stretch of the imagination. What is surprising to me, though, is the fact that Terra, the stablecoin lost its peg. Luna is down, 70-80%, which is absolutely crazy. But where I will say that you still can be successful here with crypto is right now the fear and greed index is at like extreme fear, right? So if you look at all the indicators, they're all pointing towards massive, like this is a buyer's market now, right? Not financial advice, but this is kind of like a buyer's market, right? You want to be buying in the red and selling in the green. And it never feels good when things go down. But the truth of the matter is like you want to be, countering the entire market. Now, can things go lower? Is 20,000 in the card for Bitcoin? And can we get that one last capitulation candle? I mean, absolutely, right? So like you always have to be prepared. And one thing I want to tell people here is that you have to pay attention to cryptocurrency. This is not like another traditional market. You have to be paying attention because it's very, very volatile, right? You get these washouts and they happen and people are like, oh my gosh, my portfolio's down this month. And it's like, everyone on crypto Twitter yesterday was like, welcome to crypto. It's like, yeah, like this stuff happens here. And, just continue to keep studying, continue to keep paying attention. And if you do so, you can find really, really good projects. Like there is still opportunity here. And that's kind of my feeling though right now still is it's a little bit bearish.
That's what I say the same thing. Like, just calm down, remain calm. Don't lose any hair over it. If you do, wear a hat like DEEZY. But we're looking at some. There's also a lot of data. I kind of want to pull this chart. This is the balance on exchanges. I want to look at the number. 67,000 Bitcoin has flowed into exchanges over the last week. It's about a 3% gain there. At the same time, over this last month, the market's wiped out over $800 billion on the total crypto market cap. Ben, we're seeing a lot of people fearful. They're throwing their Bitcoin on the exchange. The exchange rate is, hitting high amounts right here. Do you feel most of the people who are pulling this Bitcoin out of their wallets, out of wherever, and putting it on exchanges, do you think they're looking to sell this? Should we take this as a worrisome sign, or is this just people kind of panicking at the moment?
Well, it's definitely panic. There's no doubt about that. But I do want to touch real quick before I get into that on what Joe was talking about earlier with Terra Luna and it losing its peg. I don't know if you guys have seen the news. It looks like we know who the culprit was, and it was Citadel. An absolute intentional attack on Terra Citadel. So we'll have a lot more on the show tomorrow morning about that. I'm going to roast some folks for sure. But moving to the question you asked me about people moving on exchanges. Look, guys, this is what you have to realize. There are institutions that know what's coming and they don't mind selling in the short term, reaccumulating at lower prices. But guys, people are feeling the pinch right now. Like, I know I talked to somebody the other day that was like, look, I had to sell one of my Ethereum. Like, I didn't want to. It sucked. It was painful. I know in the long term is not the best thing, but I needed money. I had to pay some bills and I was behind. So I had to sell my Ethereum to pay bills. You think that's the only person feeling that right now? Not at all. I mean, look at the economy. It is getting crunched. So it's not that people are necessarily panic selling because they're very confident prices are going to go down. People have watched their net worths plummet 50, 60, 70%, depending on what stocks or crypto they've been into over the last 2 to 3 months. And I know I did some golf lessons earlier. And, my golf pro guy was talking about how, at the golf course, there's all kinds of guys coming through here. He listened to the conversations, they're talking about, how gutted they've been by the stock market. I know one guy that had to sell his house because of the beating that he's taken on the market. He had to sell his house because he needed to have money because he's gotten destroyed on the stock market over the last year. There are so many people in there. It's not that people are losing faith in crypto. It's that people are having to figure out how to come up with money in a world where they're not generating money like they were and their value is going down and food shortages are coming in. I'll tell you another thing. Here's something really interesting that just passed through the BitBoy crypto gossip chamber here a little bit ago, which was there was a mortgage broker who was having a conversation that my wife was overhearing, and 17% of their company got laid off this morning. 17% of a large mortgage broker company got laid off this morning. There's a lot more going on here than the price of Terra getting unpegged from $1, okay, or of UST. There's a lot more than Terra dropping 72%. We're looking at larger macroeconomic issues that are causing a lot of this. We get so tunnel visioned in the echo chamber of crypto that sometimes we forget to take a step out and look at the money being withdrawn from exchanges in context of the larger economy. I think that's what people need to be thinking about right now.
All right, now Rice, Ben brought up UST, and we're definitely going to talk about that tomorrow and get to the bottom of the Citadel issue. We definitely want to cover it on this show as well tomorrow, but kind of waiting for more concrete details to emerge. But UST's coming out, and then of course Janet Yellen couldn't miss an opportunity to comment on it. She is our U.S. Treasury Secretary. She's asking for new stablecoin legislation. Stablecoin known as Terra USD experienced a run and declined in value. I think that this simply illustrates that this is a rapidly growing product and there are rapidly growing risks. Now, I'm hearing rumors that, hey, maybe the big banks were behind this, funding this entire operation of trying to do essentially a bank run, what would be normally known as a bank run on, Terra Luna Foundation. Is that going to be, the case here when all the dust settles and clears? Do you think that there's going to be some people with maybe not, I'm not saying JP Morgan's CEO is behind this, Jamie Dimon is, behind this at all, but do you think there's going to be similar interests involved once all the dust settles and we see who the culprits are? Are we going to point fingers and say, you know what, we should have known it all along?
Well, first of all, thanks again for having me back on the show. I really appreciate you bringing me back on Around the Blockchain. I encourage people to check out my channel, RiceTVx, and everybody else's channels and socials. Now, to answer your question, now this as far as the banks attacking crypto, this isn't a new thing. This has been ongoing for quite some time. I mean, going all the way to like the digital currency group and seeing all the different companies that are invested inside of crypto. So this has been ongoing. Anything that is a threat to the system, the legacy system, or to the central banks or the governments, there will be coordinated efforts to try to take these things out. I mean, I know that's going to happen, and it's already happened. I've mentioned before that the Trump administration allowed for the trading of Bitcoin futures at a particular time for a particular reason, and it brought the market down. The market is small, so it can be completely manipulated. And unfortunately, I mean, I agree with everything that Ben has said. Macroeconomically, we have a lot more bigger problems to be focusing on. We got to pay attention to what the Federal Reserve is trying to do to combat all this inflation. Tomorrow, the CPI data comes out. Depending on how that comes, what information comes out of that, if it's higher than last month, I mean, we could see a lot more downward action. I don't think that we're done. But these are buying opportunities. These are opportunities for you to do research, to accumulate to dollar cost average. Because I cannot say when the bottom is in right now. But I do feel like we are going to be going down a little bit lower. Now, ultimately, this is a buyer's market. This is when there's blood on the streets. This is when money is to be made. So when you see that the market is fearful, that's when you should be greedy. You should be playing the opposite of how the market acts as far as just general market psychology, not financial advice, just general. This is how it works. So when it comes down to it, I mean, you're going to see a lot more, I think, bleeding. There's a lot of, you can look at the markets in general. You can look at everything. Everything is bleeding, and everything right now is going into the dollar. The dollar is being strengthened because of this deflationary effort that's going on. So there's going to be more of this happening. Now, once the dust settles, you can look at 2008 as an example. Same thing happened, but once the dust settled, people started going into safe haven assets, which would have been like your precious metals, your gold and your silvers. And now we have Bitcoin. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, I like talking about DCA. Let's pull up this chart. This is Bitcoin's macro chart here, going all the way back to 2013, 2014. And you see we do little dips below. This is 37%, in case it's a little hard to see. This is 43%. And the average is around 40%, which would bring us to $13,000. Now, MacNCheeasy, you see the strong trend line. You see it holds. And then when it breaks through, it usually drops a significant amount. Is this kind of, when it comes to DCAing, is there a number for Bitcoin where you say, this is a safe number? Full disclosure, I started probably under 36. When I see Bitcoin under 35, around that level, DCA a little bit. You know what? If it goes below 28, I'll increase my DCA. If it goes below 20, I'm selling plasma, So that's just my strategy. What's the strategy for the incubator? What do we call them? The hatchlings? Are they the hatchlings?
The
omelets?
egg gang, egg family. We'll call them the omelets. Eggs over easy.
What do you tell the yolks and the omelets?
I think everybody's situation is very different, and I know that's probably not the answer people want to hear, but depending on your exposure in crypto as a whole, I think that should determine where you kind of place your chips. Now, for the incubator specifically, right, I want to decouple our business as much from the crypto market as possible, because in the world where the crypto market moons, our business will also succeed. So we want to be resilient from a business side of things. Now, looking back on it, I remember when Coinbase released their balance sheet about this time last year when they went public, and they didn't have much crypto on their balance sheet. And I was like, why the hell don't they? Well, their main reason was that if crypto tanks, they want to be able to survive. And I say that so if you look at yourself kind of like a business, right? Your finances are different than everyone else's, right? So if you have cash flow in different parts of the economy that are probably recession resistant, right? Maybe you can DCA a little bit more aggressively, because in the world where kind of the economy crumbles, you're going to have your cash flowing assets, you're going to have your job. Whereas if maybe you are a little bit more tied to the tech sector, you're tied to the crypto world, maybe it's in your best interest to kind of diversify a little bit. So I think your portfolio is really a product of kind of where you sit. For me specifically, I said this last week on the show that I was holding more cash than I've really ever held, and that still is the case. And the main reason for that is, I think there's, to Ben's point, I think the broader economy, there's a lot of things that are going on. The Airbnbs that I have in Florida that have been booked up straight for over 2 years, we're having trouble getting bookings. I think it's just what's going on. The economy's tightening up. People are spending less. So I think you just got to be prepared for what's around the corner.
All right, little macro indicator for you. Thanks for that. All right, well, let's move on. Talk KuCoin real quick. I definitely want to make sure we get time to Instagram. And I'm pulling up the KuCoin 3-month chart. Jay Chains is probably feeling smart now. I have a little bit at stake. I just am a fan of I've talked about it a lot. I'm a fan of the exchange. As far as semi-centralized exchanges go, they're pretty good. They just raised $150 million for a $10 billion valuation, valued at $10 billion. Not that long ago, they were only $100 million, and that was in November of 2018. So 100x, a literal 100x in a matter of a few years. So congrats to the KuCoin team. Johnny Liu, he's the co-founder, CEO. They just came out in 2017. It's a hybrid exchange. It's good for if you want to work with multiple chains. I always recommend it. I think a lot of people in the office like it as well. And we're seeing a lot of action with the price, but in the wrong direction. So they raised this funding. They're above 10 billion. Joe, I'm looking at the market cap here. It's only 1.4 billion. So we have a market cap of 1.4 billion, but then we have some hedge fund people come in and they say it's worth 10 billion. How do we have such a large discrepancy there? It's about a 7x multiple difference there. So just, for the people wondering at home, hey, that makes no sense. Why shouldn't I just buy KuCoin loan at 7x? Kind of maybe talk them off that cliff real quick and why, it doesn't exactly correlate.
Yeah, I mean, KuCoin, is home of those 100x gems, DEEZY. So, maybe they, decided to go and,
also tell what's
match
the KuCoin
the valuation.
Quick question. Is KuCoin effect the new Coinbase effect, and kind of describe what that is?
I mean, to me, the KuCoin effect is kind of just where people are starting to migrate more towards, and it's just bringing in a whole new economy. And that's one of the things that they said in this article that really struck me is, and why maybe they got this valuation, DEEZY, is because they're looking to really expand not only with an exchange, but they're looking to get into NFTs, and they're looking to do a lot of other things as well that could potentially merit this valuation. Do I believe it's high? Certainly, but they do have a lot of volume. They have a lot of coins. People seem to love it. Personally, me, if I'm looking to do some trades or get into these altcoins and kind of get into it, I really do like KuCoin from a user perspective. I think it's great and it's easy for people who are new to crypto. That's the key. Going back to the Coinbase thing and getting people over there, it's pretty easy to and familiar for a lot of people. So it's easy for them to use. Another thing, though, that I wanted to say about this and just kind of in general is the fact that KuCoin is one of those places that if you are really looking to be a retail investor who has a small amount of money and you actually want to potentially multiply it, it's a really good spot to be, because if you get into a lot of these decentralized exchanges, you're dealing with a lot of these gas fees and all these other, instances, or they don't have your coin. That's the thing. A lot of these centralized exchanges, they just don't have the coins that you're looking for. At least KuCoin's got that. I really do think that in the long run, they're going to come out ahead. But the price right now of the token is not a reflection, I believe, in what's happening and with this evaluation. I think it's just market sentiment. And if you look at their chart from where it was, I think it was at 10 to 14 cents, and it ran all the way up to 20 or 30 bucks. So, the exchange and everything to me is done well. It is deserving of this, billions of dollars, I believe. I think they're going to do it right. I like what I'm seeing. I'm a fan of KuCoin, and yeah, that's kind of my take on this.
Yeah, you probably got in at 14 cents, didn't you, Joe? But you sold
No.
at 85 cents, which was smart at the time. You know, that's the classic Joe move. I'm kidding, of course. Always finding those low cap gems early. Definitely check out his channel. Now, Rice, we got some Rice. You know, we see they're less regulated, they're less centralized than a lot of exchanges. So we kind of have this best of both worlds, a little bit of a decentralization here, a little bit of a centralization here. But some are going to say, you know, hey, you got to choose a lane and you got to stick with it so you can really maximize the effects of whatever path you decide to take. What do you feel about the path that they're going, where they're kind of having a foot in, you know, both sides of the lane here? Is that going to work? Is that going to be the new model moving forward, or are they going to have the Janet Yellens of the world coming after them?
I really feel like regulatory compliance will be trying to come after them, but they're doing their best to fight it. And that's one of the reasons why I do like KuCoin. Now, theoretically, it's a great exchange to use. Had I not lost all my crypto in a boating accident, I would be using KuCoin on a regular, in all honesty. And by holding their exchange token, you're just getting a reduction of your fees. Now, one of the things that I do like about KuCoin, it reminds me of Binance when it first started. And then Binance started really kind of paying homage and bowing down to the regulatory systems and being compliant. So that's one of the reasons why I think KuCoin is a great exchange. You don't have to do any kind of KYC if you want to withdraw up to 1 Bitcoin a day, which is a pretty healthy amount. So you wouldn't have to do any sort of identification. So it's a great exchange if somebody's trying to basically, as best as they can, try to make sure that what they're doing is not something that's going to be reported to alphabet agencies. So I really appreciate what KuCoin is doing. There's a few other exchanges out there that has a similar model where they're not requiring a KYC up to a certain amount, but I really feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure being put on those exchanges. And ultimately, what they'll probably end up doing is what most exchanges do. Once the pressure gets put on, is they won't allow U.S. citizens to access their exchanges. And then, you know, people have to use things like VPNs to get around that.
Yeah, man, you're telling me I'm stuck at 365 Bitcoin withdrawals a year? What's the point? Now, Ben,
Yeah,
Joe brought
what's
up a couple things. They're doing GameFi, they're doing DeFi, NFT platforms. They want to do a DAO. You know, I know J-Chain's talking about it years ago. They've been around for a while, but do you think that they'll be around a while? Like, will this plan work out? Is it going to be like the tech industry where only 2 or 3 players in each given field and, you know, basically no one else can compete? Or will they be able to hang with the Binance, the ByBit, the Coinbase?
Well, I think when it comes to a larger question of what are we going to see with, you know, are we going to see there just be a few winners? I mean, that just depends on the regulation around adding coins to your exchange. Because today, if Crypto.com, Binance, and Coinbase were able to add every single coin, which is the only thing that all investors want. We want there to be one place where you can go and buy every coin. They would crush everybody. No one would stand a chance. But that's not the way it is. You know, the regulation around adding each coin is different. And I'll tell you, you know, TJ was telling me he had a very interesting conversation at the Bitcoin conference at one of the parties with a guy that works for a major exchange who's in charge of adding coins. And it is not a scientific process like you think. It's more like, oh, you know what? I think this coin might be okay. Let's see if we can get this one added. Oh, the founders of the exchange, they own a lot of this coin. Okay, a little bit better reason to put it on. That's legit. That's what happens. So I think that's the larger question. Like, KuCoin wouldn't stand a chance if every coin could have the coins that they have. But right now, they have the most coins, and you know that's what separates them. Now, the interesting thing is, I didn't even know that the founder was doxxed until this morning. I knew his name was Johnny, but I didn't know that we knew his last name, that he's doxxed. Last year, we covered a story where the Ontario Securities and Exchange Commission, whatever it's called, where they demanded Coinbase shut down in Canada. And I don't know if they did or not, but one of the big things was nobody really knew, like their structure is decentralized. So nobody even really knows where their offices are. But now they're getting more doxxed and they're pushing more into the spotlight. I think it's it's their only play for survival, but it's also risky based on a lot of coins that they've added that may or may not in the future be considered securities. So I think the future of KuCoin is very intriguing to me. I want them to succeed. I've always liked KuCoin. They had a major hack. They paid all their people back. They did what they were supposed to do there. So, you know, KuCoin's always had a special place in my heart. It's one of the first exchanges I used when I got into altcoins. And it, you know, I've always liked the kind of like, just screw it, let's just add the coins. I like that. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, like I said, I'm very intrigued.
All right. Now, Mac, final question on this topic here. You know, from a dev standpoint, where do you rank KuCoin as far as ease of use, you know, the size of the liquidity of the markets, you're actually able to get your market orders filled? Is the tech strong? Is it, you know, does it have the legs where it can compete with the ByBit or with the Coinbase, or does it not quite have that team where, you know, every new Android update, you know, you're going to have a new KuCoin app update, you know, within 24 hours. Will they be able to compete on a technical side?
I mean, from all of the, like, they're in the top tier. I consider them in that top tier for exchanges. Now, I've gone down the rabbit hole of the market maker and the exchanges and all of that.
Yeah, they have bots, they have trading bots, like all types of, you know, different weird technical tools.
For sure, yeah. And so I've gone down that that rabbit hole. And I think from, at least for me, the most important thing is not having wash trading for exchanges, because I think wash trading can just be I think it's counterproductive for the entire crypto ecosystem. And I don't think KuCoin has that, at least from some of the conversations that I've had with people at exchanges. Maybe they do, but yeah, I think KuCoin's in this top tier. And to Ben's point a little bit earlier, they have flexibility that these other exchanges don't have. Like Coinbase can't do what KuCoin can do. So from a competitive advantage standpoint, they have to be kind of this kind of scrappy startup, although now they're worth all this money. So they're no longer this small scrappy startup. But yeah, I'm kind of excited where KuCoin goes. And I think it's kind of like the coming from a TikTok background. A lot of people, they talk about KuCoin. Like when you're talking about altcoins, you go to KuCoin. They have that name recognition. They have that brand recognition from actually purchasing altcoins, which I think can go a long way from, it's like, oh, is it listed on KuCoin? Okay, so now that's probably worth an altcoin that's worth looking at.
Okay. All right. Well, with our, or go ahead, Rice.
Hey, real quick, I just want to add in something. You know, if there is a lot of regulatory pressure being put on KuCoin, now that the CEO is a little bit more public, because I agree with Ben, I didn't know that he was really public until this article. But people can really take note of what Eric Voorhees did with Shapeshift. And if one thing, KuCoin is introducing DAOs. They're pushing DAO tokens, so they're already familiar with the idea of a DAO. So if it really got to be a really hairy situation, they could simply just follow Eric Voorhees and Shapeshift, their model, and just turn this thing into a DAO, which I think would be a great idea.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do a quick run through on the Instagram. I'm going to kind of go through the facts and then get everybody's, you know, quick answer on their thoughts. We're going to say Ben for last on this one. Now, Meta, they just started with Instagram, basically copying the Twitter profile system, where you can now display your NFTs, have it verified. They're allowing Ethereum and Polygon blockchains. It's not going to be charged. They're rolling it out with celebrities at first. Jaden Smith, Gary V, the Boss Beauty's official account. So Zuckerberg confirmed it. Everything is going, you know, they're still on pace. And right now they have about 140 million monthly US users. So it's not a small user base here. And they're rolling it out. Will the industry accept it like Twitter? That remains to be seen. So we're going to run through. We're going to start with Mac, and we're going to go in the circle. All right, MacNCheeasy. The Twitter community accepted the NFT ecosystem as part of that platform. So I'm going to ask you, everybody, the same question here. Will the NFT community accept Instagram's feature and use it? Yay or nay?
Is the NFT community even on Instagram?
Okay.
But I think it's just going to be less accepted, just because of there's less crypto natives on the platform, whereas
right,
Twitter was kind of the hub.
All right, RiceTVx.
I think it will be accepted, honestly. I think people will want to try to show their NFTs off as a trophy and as a way of showing clout.
Okay. Now, Joe, what do you say?
I mean, I think it's going to be accepted, but I think it's going to be accepted by a very niche amount of people here, right? Because Instagram is so massive that like it's gonna take. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Crypto Twitter is like its own little thing, so I think that's why it really caught on. But Instagram is kind of like so massive, where it's like all of a sudden you see some person with this and just like, whatever, scroll past it. So it's kind of my take on this.
All right, Ben, are we going to be like, whatever, scroll past it? Or are we going to say, hey, what's that? Maybe I'll buy one.
Well, as one of the forefathers of crypto Instagram, I would like to say that it is not going to do very well. I think, you know, what's funny is like a lot of my success in crypto was predicated on crypto Instagram. That's where I met TJ. I met Wendy.
I believe Justin Williams made your memes for you, right? Was that his like first job?
Did. Y'all go back and scroll to the very beginning of BitBoy_crypto, and you can find Justin Williams' expertise in making memes. That's right. There's a first account I created. It's where I met TJ. It's where I met, J Chains. It's where I met Wendy. It's where I met Stash, where I met a lot of the people that have been integral in my, journey here in the crypto world. Lucho Paletti, a famous crypto artist now. And I can tell you that I don't know how that's where I started and I wandered there, because it's a ghost town over there. So,
all right. So stay a ghost town.
Yeah, stay a ghost town. But check out the new personal Instagram. We changed it from Dad Jokes for the Win to Ben Armstrong. Actually, it's not actually a scammer. It's me.
All right. Make sure you check that out. And Ben, it looks like you won your own show. You get to plug your Instagram again, or just tell people some parting thoughts here.
Powerful. Well, you guys know this is a great show. Make sure to follow everybody that comes on around the blockchain. And this is one of the shows that no matter what, we're going to do this show every day for you guys, because we think it's so important to, bring other perspectives on, because I know a lot of people love me. They love this channel. They love DEEZY. They love Frankie. They love TJ. They love our opinions, but it's really when you get a more well-rounded opinion that gives you perspective to make good decisions in crypto markets.
And that's what makes this show spark and fly. And that's all we got time for today, BitSquad. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're, checking out all the channels here, as well as Meta Money, Frankie Candles, and NFT Alpha. Until next time, DEEZY out.